I'm actually going to start with our first question directed to Bennett. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome. Okay, as a storyteller and a fellow storyteller, I feel like stories really give us the avenue to remember, to repair, and also to reimagine. What is your focus? Oh, in your piece, you focus quite a bit on environmental justice and Black agrarian traditions. How can films like yours influence the development and sustainability of liberated zones? And what responsibilities do storytellers like you have in balancing narratives of struggles and with one possibility?
So hello everybody. It's my pleasure being in here. Even though it's virtual, and seeing the space and seeing Che Guevara on the wall, seeing Thomas Sankara, and all the pictures on the wall. It's my pleasure. I think like into the question, I made the film with and for the Black community of Minneapolis, indigenous community of Minneapolis who practice urban agriculture. And to me, a big purpose of it is just reaffirming community members who are already there. Um, and the shared community that we have, and the shared goals and vision and joy, and celebrating each other as we push for more movements. And then beyond just that immediate community who's in the film, it's about like spreading out, spreading more movements and trying to inspire more movements and showing that things are happening in political organizing events. And then for the second question, I think that's like the harder one. It's tough and dynamic being able to balance both. But I think it's essential to make space for both the narrative of struggle and possibility and find that balance. Like I grew up watching a lot of content and hearing a lot of content focused on Black harm and trauma. And then on the other hand, it's really easy to go to the other side and wash out the reality of the world and history that we live in. And I'm fortunate to be able to feel like I was able to incorporate both the narrative of struggle and possibility by using the liberatory framework. And I know many Black feminists describe liberation simply as survival plus joy, and I really appreciated that as I tried to make the film with everybody. And to me, putting that into film and storytelling is about getting people to reflect while sharing their authentic truth. Because everybody in this room, I'm sure, and so many people who've been pushing for liberation have been pushing for liberation in their own way. I've been talking to everybody that went into the project to push for liberation. It's a hell of a fight with tears, laughter, yelling, pain, love, and everything in between. And there's so many things going on right now. Thinking about Chicago, thinking about just the highest rates in LA. I think there's more pressure than ever to capture these stories and experiences, so then we can share the history that we have and our history that we know, with everybody to see, for everybody to see the truth. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer, Ben. Mama Jerry, your organizing has helped distribute critical resources to Black folks seeking land to cultivate food, culture, and connection in Detroit's North End and beyond. What strategies have been essential to turning land and food insecure central spaces into permanent places of sanctuary for your community?
Thank you for that question. Also, thank you for the invitation to be here. So, I am located in the northern part of Detroit, which kind of is central to Detroit. We're like 5 minutes from downtown, the water, and we're close to all the major freeways. This neighborhood is historically Black, has been since I was a kid, and changing now, but very much so disinvested, like a lot of the other neighborhoods after the 1967 riots that happened in Detroit. Just resources left and never came back. Some people people followed their jobs and moved, some people just left. The neighborhood schools were closed, properties abandoned, tore down, which created a very large inventory of vacant land. And so, for the organization that I run, North End Christian Community Development Corporation, we were founded in 2000 by Reverend Bertha Carter, who's my mother. My mom was known to feed people. I could remember when I was a kid, coming home from school, I could find anybody I wanted to. She was gonna take that sandwich and cut it up and feed as many people as she could, and that one can of soup was gonna stretch, right? My mother fed people out of the back of her van for more than 15 years on Oakland. And so, when the Detroit became bankrupt in 2008, our organization went kind of silent for funding and everything like that. And my mother asked me to come over and take over the organization. The very first thing I looked at was the amount of vacant land and the fact that these spaces that were vacant were at one time occupied. And so the spirit of the people, they're still here, right? And how do we bring people back into these spaces? And the way to do that was through food. And so that's how I started my work, and that's how we have begun to rebuild our community by engaging people with food, but also with each other. So that's kind of like how we work.
So from a tactical standpoint, what sorts of policy and or land designations are necessary to be in place to protect the spaces?
Wow. So the very first one I can think of is that in 2013, when the city of Detroit adopted and made it legal for folks to grow food through the urban ag ordinance. Prior to that, we were all just gangster farming, on land that we did not own. In some cases, farmers were displaced 2 and 3 times over, which in the film they talked about that displacement and how expensive it is to restart the work over and over and over again. In 2013, the city of Detroit, incorporated the ordinance, making it legal for us to farm, but also buy land to farm. So that would be one policy change that I would think could be safe for ensuring that people can do this type of work. Also, you've got to get the community engaged, because why are we doing this work? Who are we doing it for? If you're not talking to people and you're not engaging people, then what's the purpose? And how do you sustain it? So those would be the 2 big ones.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes it's just necessary to know the language and other things that we need to ask for directly. As you all may have noticed, our panel is one person short today. Ryan is still in the process of making their way here, so I hope you will have a chance to talk to them sometime over. My next question for you, KG. New Orleans